Hello and welcome to an Off the Bar special as we bring you some of the best bits from our homely little show set here in the Alexander Public House in the leafy surroundings of Weybridge. The regulars amongst you will know that the first series ran a couple of years ago, and we've trawled through all 34 episodes of that series, married them up with the best bits from this series so far to bring you what we think is half an hour of decent TV. For those of you who aren't regulars, and that could be painful, here's a whistle-stop tour of Series 1. So here we are, Len, standing in a... I made you a star. I mean, I think we need to get that out in the open on Goals on Sunday.
You were on there, yeah. Well, would you believe, Matthew, how long that was?
I don't know, I'm 38 now, so that was 14. You know, I'm 34 now. But you announced recently you're... Shut up.
Yeah, it's fine. I'm 20.
Are you?
Yeah.
You've taken off the same number of years. No, you haven't done it. So welcome. Girls doing football.
Well, you know, there are a lot of them doing it nowadays. You're a bit of a dinosaur, Matt.
And first and last time you're going to be on. She's fragrant, she's glamorous and bubbly, and she's very definitely outspoken. OK, we'll move on to Stoke against Hull. Everybody's waiting for Hull to nosedive.
Nosedive?
You did it, not me.
Thank you. Well, I thought it was well placed, by the way.
Absolutely amazing what would go on. So you could see how people would be so...
Somebody's phoning in to say you've got a great idea there.
I turned the damn thing off. So. I turned that thing off. You know, that's more in bed. Hello.
And it's so true what you're saying. Now, what I'm going to do, we are going to have this debate about football and rugby and the relative merits in part two. And I'm just going to stand up and explain why that most of that debate, now you stand up, most of that debate...
I'm stuck under the table. Here we go.
...will be conducted by Mr. Gale. Tony Gale, the fat bloke over there, has asked, he wants to go on holiday to Sardinia. Can you recommend a place?
No. People like him, they're not allowed to come to Sardinia. Our place is a serious place.
He's fat though, isn't he?
He's really fat.
It's not every day that one of the most famous actors in British, not to mention world cinema, pops in for a bit of a chat. He's revered in Hollywood and here as the Daddy, and Ray Winston was in the mood to have some fun when he came to call. After all, it was his birthday. Ray, I suspect this is going to be the longest 5 minutes of my life. You want to talk about football, I want to talk about the movies, and I'm first. I just think it's incredible that you were working with as normal as you are, sort of, with people like Jack Nicholson and Anthony Hopkins and directors like Spielberg and Scorsese. Are they ordinary people?
Well, I'd done a film called Last Orders when I was young. Before I've worked with some really good people, and I worked with David Hemmings and Michael Caine and Hoskins and Tom Courtenay and Adam Mirren. And the first thing you think about is that's fantastic. I've been watching them since I was a kid, you know? And then a fear comes in because you want them to live up to your expectations. You want them to be really good people. And I must say they were fabulous. And the best times I've ever had were sitting in this car, because it was all about a journey to Margate and listening to the stories, not film stories, but just stories about people's lives and having a laugh with them. So when you realise when you end up working with, when you go and turn up to do a day's work with Jack Nicholson or DiCaprio or whoever it is, that they're just kids who go to work or people who go to work and like what you do, like what I do, like if you've got to drive a cab. You know, everyone's got to be kind of looked at for the job that they do, you know, and you've got to enjoy that. So I've been pretty lucky in that way that I had a good blood in with the Michael Caines and the Bob Hoskins and all that, who are, to me, are the biggest stars that you'll ever meet in your life, you know.
And yet you still a fan, or still a fan of West Ham and of people like him who,
yeah, what about when you meet your footballing heroes?
There's none here, is there? Do you know he got nicked once? Tony got nicked for breaking into a £1 note. And he was, honestly, he was let off because it was his first offence. Yeah. Well, actually, Les is an hero of mine because he missed the 75 final, you know, and he's still wearing the suit. But yeah, like that's my era, you know, the Alan Davidsons, the Tony Gales, the Jeff Hurst, the Bobby Moores, and I was lucky enough to meet and play against Bobby Moore at Wembley, but and meet him after when he was very ill. I mean, that was a man to me who was, if I had any heroes, it was Bobby Moore, because everyone talks about the East End and being full of gangsters and all that. It's all we're famous for, and then all of a sudden you come across a man like Bobby Moore, who actually done more for the East End. Forget about the football, but the image of the East End of a gentleman And I think I'm very proud to have met him and to have known him. And that goes for, all jokes aside, Tony, yourself, right? No, but seriously, and because when I was a kid growing up, they're the players we used to go and watch, you know, the Paul Goddards, the little Allens.
But going back to
and all
Moro, he was footballing royalty, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was, but he earned that right, I think. You know, and I remember when he died, and they had on the gates, the flowers on the gates outside Upton Park. And I was driving towards the ground to go and have a look at it. And I turned round, I went home, and I thought, I don't want to see that. I want to remember him as he was. It's everybody's kind of choice in a way, you know. But to me, it was more than just the football with Bobby Moore. You know, they say a player is not bigger than a club. I remember when he played for Fulham in the final, and I wouldn't have minded getting beat that day by Fulham, purely because it was Bobby Moore playing for Fulham. And that's no disrespect to Fulham, but I think if there was anyone ever bigger than the club, and without trying to be bigger than the club, it probably was Bobby Moore, you know.
Talking about the FA Cup, West Ham were back in the Cup in '91 and were that close to get into the final when there was a very controversial incident involving someone in very tight shorts getting himself sent off.
Yeah, he did, and I don't think he was intelligent enough to bring the guy down on purpose. But if you see that, I mean, we played a fabulous Nottingham Forest side at the time. Brian Clough, I remember the day really well, you know, and the reaction of the supporters at the end when they were cheering Clough. They were actually clapping Clough, and it was a kind of little pipe. I'm sure there was a few rows outside the ground after. But we lost to an absolutely fabulous Forest side who got beat by Tottenham in the final, if I remember rightly. But it was kind of half a liberty. He was the last man, but the centre forward done exactly what a centre forward should do. He went across the defender, you know, and kind of went across Tony's path, and it was a gut for him to be sent off. It was a gut for us because we all wanted to kill him at the time. But
What do you know about football anyway?
well, a little bit more than you, that's for sure. Because if you're going to get sent off, at least hit him.
Well, we haven't spent all our time in the pub. In fact, one of us spent so much time out of it that he kidded himself he could become fit enough to become the oldest player in the Football League. At the age of 43, David Marable bid £3,000 in a charity auction to become Southend United's oldest player. This was his first day at pre-season.
Money is tight in the lower leagues. At Southend, they're cutting back on two fronts: changing rooms and transfers. 43-year-old David Marable is the oldest registered player in the league. He cost nothing, and he's about to prove why.
It's quite brave, but my mum always said I'd make it, and she believed in me, and we got there.
Manager Steve Tilson admits hiring a middle-aged playmaker is a gamble.
Bearing in mind that some of your players' fathers went to school with him, do you think they'll look up to him?
Yeah, they may do, depending on how well he does, to be honest. Obviously, if he doesn't do the business, he'll be getting a bit of stick.
What about fitness, though? He appears to lack that.
Well, that's my one concern at the moment. Looking at the weight side of it, he probably needs to do a bit of running, a bit of stamina work, and lose probably 7 or 8 pounds.
How's he going to do that when his staple diet is lager?
Probably cutting down from 8 pints a night to a pint may help.
Keeping up his test the older player's fitness. Just listen in on this finely tuned body.
When you get past the 5-minute mark, do you find fitness is called into question?
Yeah, the 2-minute mark kind of kicks in a bit, really.
We need to get him fit. You know, I think it's going to be a good 6 or 7 weeks until he's fit enough to be able to compete at this level.
For now, Marable trains alone. Penalties without too long a run-up are a speciality.
Tilly keeps, telling me he's going to play me in the pre-seasons, and then the phone doesn't ring. But I think it could be the last couple of minutes in the last game of the season when there's nothing to play for, really.
Like I say, we've got a young side, and experience can play a big part. And like I say, hopefully, he can bring that experience and help us on the park.
Marable is determined to repay his manager's faith. He plans on trapping a ball on his neck sometime in the next 5 years.
If you got an offer for him, would you take it?
Depends on the offer. If we get a decent offer, then it might be worth taking.
50 pence?
I don't think they want to get rid of me. I'm a local boy. It's be bad publicity for them. They need all the publicity they can get, these boys.
At least the older player can handle the odd tricky question from the press.
Who would you compare yourself with in the modern game? Did you know much about the modern game?
Modern game. Probably the bloke out of that John Smith's advert, to be honest with you.
And why have you got that ball up your shirt? David Marable, so near and yet so far. But he did get himself a gig. He's found himself a job as a tester in a lager laboratory. That's it for part one, but there's plenty more in part two, so stay around for a couple of minutes. Welcome back to our review of Off the Bar so far. Now, referees rarely get a good press, and having seen some of them in action, that's hardly surprising. But one man in black, Dermot Gallagher, has become a friend to this programme. He's refereed an under-20s World Cup final, countless Premier League games, and every domestic cup final. Even so, we thought it was about time we sent Dermot back to square one, to the Banbury Sunday League First Division, in fact, and to a vital game for the Banbury Spurs. This is how Dermot and the Mud got on.
Dermot Gallagher has gone back to his roots. No, not his follicles, but Sunday morning football. Here in Banbury, the lawnmowers also provide the fertiliser, note the wheelbarrow, while Dermot is going live, wearing a microphone so we can hear what he really thinks about the game. And on the touchline, two of Banbury's foremost television commentators are there to give the ref a fair and honest assessment.
Who's the ref? Some local lad, I think. Not done many games, to be honest, this season, so I'm worried he'll tire in the second half.
Big occasion, muddy pitch, time of year. This is grassroots football. This is where it's all done.
It certainly is. Dermot's looking over nervously now, wondering what we're saying about him. You know, refereeing's a difficult job. All this respect, Lark, that I'm not too sure is working at the minute.
In this sort of league, it depends who you're playing against. But I would say yes, respect has definitely gone up.
I'll referee, you play.
I've not said anything.
They should have never got rid of me. I make the decisions. I didn't give anything. I can see a call up next week. Liverpool-Chelsea, Dan.
I just said it's not a pass, that's all I said.
I didn't say it was. We need you. What did I give? I gave nothing. I've still got it. I don't even know what you're having a go at me for.
I'm having a go at you.
So no goals as yet. I doubt this is going to be pay-per-view, to be honest. Oh, referee, that's gone the wrong way there, Dermot. Look at that.
You get 6 out of 10 for that arm raise, that's quality.
Absolutely textbook. There was a bit of arm flapping earlier from him, which I wasn't too sure about.
Look, he's looking for his hair again.
Yep, there we go, another little scratch.
If none of these can score, I'm going to do it. I tell you, I'm going to do it. Oh, that's rubbish. What is he doing?
Hey, ref, come on!
And Dermot gives nothing.
Yeah. Oh, I've had enough of this. Give it to me. Give it to me. I've had enough of this. Boys. Advantage. He's down. We're having this. It's a long programme. It's not about today and tomorrow. It's about an ongoing thing. And the message is getting through. And, you know, the times when referees have been handed down and chased around the park are few and far between at the moment.
Dermot Gallagher proving that some referees can actually play a bit, although he, me, no one else actually knows where that yellow card came from. Now, someone who can give Ray Winston a run for his money when it comes to vying for the title Britain's Best Loved Actor is James Nesbitt. He started his career with the ITV hit series Cold Feet. Since then, he went on to superb productions like Bloody Sunday, and now his name is a simple green light for any director hoping to have a complete money spinner, which is why it was an absolute pleasure to welcome Jimmy to our bar.
If this were Desert Island Discs, a show I'm unlikely ever to host, which would you choose as your one prize? Would it be Coleraine or Manchester United?
I'm a strong supporter of Irish League football. I think it's the heartbeat to a town, and it's important to be supported. But United are, cut me, and like everyone, I bleed red.
But people say that Eamon Holmes is a very similar disposition about Manchester United. I'm not sure about what life is like in Northern Ireland, but it is red or red, isn't it?
No, well, listen, when I grew up, it was, I was born a wee bit after Eamon, and he's actually quite a different disposition to me. Leeds were a huge team, Arsenal. I mean, United, I started supporting in '69, so I had 21 years of them not winning anything. But what's interesting about the United players, if you look at whatever people say about Ferguson, if you look at Giggs, Neville, Scholes, they've stayed with the man, they adore the man, because he respects them, and they respect him. And there is a loyalty still attached to football, irrespective of the money, and I think United is actually quite a good illustration of that.
All right, moving on to TV and stuff. Cold Feet, I presume, is where it all started, or was there a little bit before that?
I worked a good bit before that. I worked, the minute I left drama school, I was very lucky. But I suppose in terms of a public awareness and doors being opened, Cold Feet unquestionably was very helpful.
You're one of the most often seen faces on TV, one of the most popular faces on TV. Is that luck or is that application on your part?
I think it's both. I think it's a good question. I think you have to be lucky to work. I was around at the right time, I got involved in the right shows, but I also had a bit of a work ethic thing. I spent years kind of laughing off the notion that I was an actor, and not because I was worried that people would think it's not a really serious job, and I suppose I didn't, but I've worked very hard at it, and I enjoy it. I'm in one of those lucky positions like yourself. I enjoy what I do.
This is, remember Shoot magazine, they'd ask questions like this. Yeah. What would you rather have been? Georgie Best or what you are today?
Geordie Best in a heartbeat. Geordie Best for a second. Imagine having that talent, those looks, that life. People are too down on George. I think, the legacy of George. George is a footballer. I was talking to Tony Gale there before we started the programme, and he was saying, you don't beat George.
Talking of downers, for those people like me who enjoyed Cold Feet, we saw Bloody Sunday.
Yeah.
When I say downer, it was a serious side of you that we hadn't expected. Turned things around a bit, didn't it?
No, it had a big impact, not only professionally, but I think also just in terms of personally, it made me look a wee bit more closely at where I come from. I think it was an important film. I think it was a good film, but it had a serious side to it. But every job you do presents its own challenges. But that, I think, it had an impact on me more than anything else.
And you return to the Troubles with your latest work.
Yeah, 5 Minutes of Heaven is a film I did with Liam Neeson on Sunday night at 9 o'clock on BBC Two, and it's about a real event that happened in 1975. 17-year-old boy played by Liam Neeson joined the loyalist paramilitaries, shot a random Catholic called Jim Griffin. I play his brother, who was 11-year-old, and witnessed it, and it's a fictionalised account about what happens if they would meet.
I'd like to learn why it is that you haven't done what a former guest on this programme, Ray Winston, did, a nip across to Hollywood and make megabucks.
Well, you can make a lot of money here, actually. Not that I have, obviously, Mr. Taxman. I've been very comfortable with the work I've been doing here, the challenges I've been presented with. I've been raised on, Ray's the king, though. There's only one Ray Winston, there's plenty of me. And I think if the opportunity arose, I would go. But it's a big thing to uplift a family and go and sit beside a pool for 6 months waiting to get a job in a film that's not that good with an accent I can't do. Not that Ray has done that. He's, as I say, the king. But I'm happy to work anywhere. I'll work. Look, I've come here for the day.
We're very grateful. That sounded far too smooth. Jim, it's been an absolute pleasure to meet you. Thank you very much.
Matt.
Getting interviews with modern-day footballers is about as easy as getting Tony Gale to open his wallet at this bar. But Liverpool impressionist Darren Farley saved us the bother of meeting any of the Liverpool team by, impersonating all of them. At the time, he was particularly vexed by a penalty controversy involving Steven Gerrard.
I think I did. Obviously, I think there was contact. But, I think, we deserved the points out of the game. Obviously, they're a good side, they've got good players, but I think we should keep our heads held high. I think we deserve the points out of it. And okay, maybe it weren't clear as crystal, but we got the pen, and sometimes you get the luck, don't you?
Jamie, what was your view?
you know, we've had decisions against us, you know, ourselves this season. I mean, you know, you've got to think about it, you know. These things happen, you know what I mean? We're disappointing to concede the goal, you know, for circumstances. But, you know, there's not really much more you can do than you just accept it. You know, we got the penalty, Stevie sucked it away, so I mean, no more you can say than that, you know.
The manager, I mean, presumably you thought it was a penalty.
Okay, we were talking with Gerard, and you know he's not a diver, okay? You know the problem, because he works hard for the team. But we were talking, and you know he works hard. The problem is you have the penalty. We have had decision against us this season. Okay, we know we have to concentrate. The mentality of the squad is okay, and you can keep working hard to get the result you need, for sure.
Well, sometimes we actually have to get the players, and as I said, it's not very easy. In fact, we had to fly all the way to Barbados to a Legends tournament to meet Ian Dowie and Alan Shearer. They teamed up with Graham Fenton to do a spoof of that famous Fenton the Dog viral. If you haven't seen it, this will make no sense at all.
Hello, welcome to Barbados. Second day of the PFA Legends, the semi-finals and finals coming up. I'm here with Ian Dowie, Graham Fenton and Alan Shearer. Alan, who's your money on today?
I think it's on the Caribbean All-Stars. They've got pace, they've got power, they've got a bit of everything.
Fenton! Fenton! Jesus Christ, Fenton! 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 Fenton!
Dowie, Shearer and collected chums, proving that sometimes football's not all hard work. And we prove the same thing here, every week on Off the Bar, with our Keepy Uppy feature. Some are good, some are bad, and some just look good doing it.
Okay, I'm not doing it.